Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Transformers Devastation Magnus Difficulty walkthrough. We're on Chapter 6, it is the Ferrotaxis, which is a pretty cool word, and I've never heard of that before. It must be some kind of Transformer word, which when you think of the naming conventions in Transformers, they're pretty good. You know, it's kind of two unrelated things put together to sound manly, which I definitely approve of. But I don't like that first section. I think it's kind of horrible. I don't like being pushed by wind and driving. It just seems like such a superfluous addition. And this is a shotgun that does not have good range, which is going to make shooting these things kind of annoying. So we're not going to do that, we're going to snipe them instead. Which leads me to the auto-aim system in this game. The auto-aim system is a double-sided sword. Sometimes it can be amazing because it's going to enable you to aim much quicker than you could being a human. However, it's also going to pick targets you don't necessarily want when you're in the middle of a heated battle. So you're going to put yourself into a spot where there are times when I feel like turning it off, just so I can have more fluidity of who I'm hitting, but for the most I've kept it on because it does do a good job all considered. And right now we're being introduced to a little bit more platforming to mix things up as we jump on these energy orange coloured honeycomb things. And I don't really know the point of doing what I'm doing right now. It doesn't really seem to lead anywhere. I'm not seeing too many treasures worth getting. I think if I jump to my left I could probably go across there, and maybe if we keep going up there's a number, but I just get lost sometimes thinking about trying to go as high as I can in a moment such as this, and then you realise that if there is nothing up there, what's the point in doing it? There was a few moments in Metal Gear Rising that were like that, but there were collectibles. Like you did the most retarded jumps to get to the places you would just never humanly think you should need to go, and then up there was something interesting, which I always really appreciate, because when you think you're breaking the game and you find something, I think that's a wonderful feeling. But here's the first mission, which is a fight against some Insecticons. They can turn into the humanoid versions because they're the bigger ones. I don't think the smaller ones can, you know. I think they're just straight up insects for life. But there are two different kinds, you'll notice. There's kind of the stag beetle one and there's kind of the grasshopper. I think the stag beetle is got to be a stag beetle forever, unless it's one of the bigger ones and it can turn into a big thing like him. But the first Insecticon fight is by far the most difficult because you're not used to fighting them. And then every fight after that gets consistently more easy because they're a fun enemy to fight and they make sense, and they're an enemy that you can learn pretty quickly just by fighting them. And now that we've come back with a weapon that's definitely paying its dividends, we don't have to worry too much about our damage output, so we can kill them at a consistent rate where the fight doesn't feel forced or overly long, which I think is incredibly important. And there's a nice piece of wonderful editing for you there. If you're wondering what happened, I got gunked doing a jump that's coming up, and it makes you fall, and I fell down and it reset me. So I restarted the checkpoint and that's where it put me. So instead, I'm hopefully not going to do that. Because it's another thing, I don't like things shooting at you when you're doing forced platforming. It's a nice idea, and maybe you can spend some time shooting them and have a bit of a standoff, but I'm not going to do that. Ain't nobody got time for that. But we'll check out the side mission, and it's one of the one that I'm not going to do. Because it's one of those where you just kind of like... I'm still getting shot at by enemies while this is happening, and I don't know if I have the weapons to actually do this. Although the sniper rifle definitely a good weapon for this if you can get the aim right, but being shot at when you're meant to be shooting stuff, not my idea of fun. So I'm probably going to not even attempt this mission. I'm going to kill a few enemies and then I'm going to get out of here. So I shot that one. Oh no, it's moving. Shot that one. 12 seconds and I don't know where they all are, so yeah, there's no way. No way. Gotta do that when you can actually focus on it rather than shooting stupid bullshit. So I'm going to just zoom off. Yeah, there you go. That's one of my main criticisms with some of the side missions. They're just completely out of left field, and you need stuff you might not have. And if you're using a weapon that's like not a homing rocket that's good and got a lot of rounds, like what happens if you've used all your gun bullets when you get to that mission? You physically can't shoot them. Then you have to jump at them and hit them that way, which does work, but it also wastes time. Like I'm not a fan, but this is a boss fight coming up. But before that, there's going to be a protection mission, and this is the second of the protection missions, because Wheeljack is going to be repairing this lift, and then we have to save him. So Once again, folks, a lot of people seem to think that these are the hardest missions in the game, but they're not, really. They're just intimidating because you have to look after somebody who can die. And on Prime difficulty and on Magnus, he dies very quick. And the enemies that you're fighting don't die quite as fast. But look at that. Headshots, dude. You can chain headshots on this enemy and it does massive damage. I was hitting his chest then a few times, but headshot on the blue guys will be an instant kill. So if you're thinking, you know, there's no point in the guns, there's actually a lot of point in the guns. They do insane damage. You're just not really seeing me focus on them because it's not my favourite way of playing, other than just to get some cheeky damage in between combos. There was the auto-aim going on the wrong dude because I'd killed him. Always fun to see. Nice double combo. Is he going to fall off and die? I guess we'll soon find out. A few people attacking me. Oh, achievement. Full throttle. Is that rush attack kills? Oh no, vehicle dino attacks. It's definitely not dino attacks because I didn't do any all vehicle attacks, that one apparently. But kill the Seekers before they become too much of a nuisance and then get ready for the next wave. This is crazy, this, because the thing when you've got a bunch of Transformers with you, a bunch of the Autobots, is the enemies attack them as well, and you can get into those situations where they don't attack you, and then when you get close to try and fight them, you get sucker punched. It's not quite as bad as some games, but there are a couple of moments, especially during the last level, or the second to last level, you really feel that moment of everyone's fighting, and then as soon as I get close, I get punched, which is the worst feeling in the world, especially when you've been doing a fight for a few minutes, and you want to make it as clean as you can, or, you know, get through it for rank, or whatever your reasons would be. But I do love Mr. Shrapnel. Oh, has he got a hit off on me? That was sloppy. But it's not the end of the world. Although the damage is very, very high. Interesting, I shouldn't have cancelled that, I didn't need to. Sometimes, when you try and rush attack enemies, they will attack too fast, and they'll hit you before you do it. So, the good news is you can cancel out of most animations with the dodge, because it's a Platinum game and they understand that that's important. But there are also those moments where you do that when you shouldn't have, which can be kind of frustrating. But this bogey's just getting bukkake, dude. Like John Goodman from Arachnophobia, he don't stand a chance. But here's phase 3, where the claw's going to start grabbing the platform, so it wants you to kill the claw. Nothing too strenuous just yet. And save your ultimate attack for panic mode, when Wheeljack's life gets too low, or where there's a bunch of enemies and you're about to die maybe. But you don't need it for anything that follows this. All the encounters that follow this are pretty simple, even if not a little annoying. Because you can fall off, you get shot a lot, and, you know, Transformers is a very particular type of game with the whole attacking off-screen thing. Like in Ninja Gaiden, it's kind of what Ninja Gaiden is. If you've ever wondered why I have an emblem of Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden 2 as my channel picture, it's because when I started my channel, the year before that, I'd just beaten Ninja Gaiden 2 on Master Ninja for the first time, and it was an absolute holocaust experience. It truly was. It was pretty much the worst thing in the world. I didn't enjoy it at all. I really, really liked Mentor, but I just didn't like Master Ninja. And I don't really play that game too much anymore because there's parts of it I just don't like, and all of it comes out when you play on Master Ninja. And the one thing that bugged me more than anything, because I wasn't used to it, was the way that the enemies are always aggressive, even when the camera's not on them. Because I was a Devil May Cry player, I came from DMC1, and in those games, there was a very particular type of restriction on enemies where they would pacify in a certain state. I mean, they would still be dangerous, and if they came onto camera, they would fuck you up, but you had this immunity if you knew how to explore the camera, and I really, really liked that because it felt fair. You never got hit by something that was unfair, and that is what Ninja Gaiden is, and it's always been that way. So Like, one of the core tenets of that series is something I absolutely despise, which is why I think Ninja Gaiden 1 is a much better game than Ninja Gaiden 2, because Ninja Gaiden 2 just increased the bullshit, the nonsense, the cheesiness, the cheapness, and all the stuff that I dislike to the nth degree, and they made a game that I think is miserable to play on Master Ninja. Which really sucks, because Ninja Gaiden 1 is really fun to play on Master Ninja. Like, super fun, and it has some of those issues, but they just went overboard with it, completely overboard with it, and it's just not my game anymore. I fell out of love with it for a very long time. I still think it's one of the best combat systems ever made. I just wish it was in a game that was made by people that didn't hate players, because the load times in that game, how every time you die you go back to that fucking chapter screen. Like, some of the checkpoints are horrendous when you can get almost instantly killed off of bullshit grabs and stuff. Like, goodness me. Those memories will never be pleasant. But then you can have a super awesome moment where you no damage a boss and everything works. And then you can have super awful moments where you're attacking a boss and he's completely invincible. And you're like, I can barely hit this motherfucker because he keeps spamming the same move on grabbing me. And then when I can, he takes no damage. Come on, dude. Fucking Alexei spamming that tornado move. Like, come on, dude. Just... no. So, if you've ever wondered that, because I do get asked that quite a lot, and if you are hungry for Ninja Gaiden 2 content, there's a channel by the name of Big Benedict. That guy absolutely worships Ninja Gaiden 2. He's done a whole bunch of different video series on it, so if you're ever looking for that kind of stuff, feel free to check him out. But as for me, you'll probably never see that guy on this channel. And I said a very long time ago, there is a person called Rhyme whose videos I used when I was first learning to play Ninja Gaiden 2 on the harder difficulties, and he helped me through that game, and I couldn't do a better job than he did, because I think he did it perfectly. And if I don't think I can do a better job on a walkthrough, I don't bother. Now, Ninja Gaiden 1, completely different story. I couldn't find any videos for Ninja Gaiden 1, and when I did go searching for it, once I started my walkthrough, I ended up finding the Godfather Dictator's no damage run, and that was that moment when I was like, this crazy Canadian motherfucker is absolutely destroying this game that is beating me up, and he's doing it without taking damage. I need to know who he is. And I sent him a very complimentary message calling him a psychopath, but a gloriously wonderful to watch psychopath. And I compared his gameplay to the Mona Lisa, which just goes to show how impressive I found it. But this is Transformers, this is a turret section. The turret sections are really fun and easy, and they're a guaranteed SS rank as long as you don't get hit and you're pretty quick. But I think they're really fun, those turret sections, because they're very Gallagher-esque. If you know where the enemies are coming from, you can kill them all really quickly. It's super cool, I enjoy that. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2, you get attacked off screen. This game, you get attacked off screen, and I would say that this is probably harder than Bayonetta, this game, just because you get attacked off screen. However, Infinite Climax on Bayonetta 1 is one of the hardest difficulties I've ever played, just because you have to play the game so differently. And it's really, really difficult. But I don't know, like, I think, you know, if you look at all the games in this genre, the series that we've got, let's reel off a few series while nothing's happening. You've got your Devil May Cry's, you've got your Ninja Gaidens, you've got things like Bayonetta, you've got things like God Hand, you've got God of War, of course. Some people might count stuff like Shinobi, that PS2 game, which I thought was horrible. There is a wealth of games in this genre. Objectively, without any of our own personal biases, like, what do you think is the hardest one? Like, the hardest difficulty? Like, I really don't know. Because it all depends on who you are as a player, what you're naturally good at, and your frame of reference. Oh, by the way, the sentry bot here, if you get close to him, you can do big damage by comboing him. Just be careful, because the thing he's doing there raises this platform and it does damage to you. Yeah, shooting this boss is not a good idea to do. You just want to hit him, you do way more damage. Because, like, I think Devil May Cry 3 on Dante Must Die, rank running, so trying to get the SS rank, is probably the hardest thing that exists. Because the commitment to do that, and the execution needed, and just the balls, because one mistake is a reset. That is... But then again, there's people who can do that easily, and so to them, they probably think something else is crazy hard. So I don't know, like, I think Goddard is a difficulty in Vanquish. Like, God Hand I find incredibly difficult because it's a game where even though I know what I'm doing at times, I can die in the space of a second. Like, they're into single Devil May Cry where I can die that fast on its hardest difficulty. It doesn't work that way. Like, even Ninja Gaiden, you can lose really quickly, but you don't lose Why do I keep saying God Hard? I'm so erect with this title. But it's not like God Hand. God Hand is, you're dead before you realise you've been hit. Because two guys scissor kicked you at the same fucking time. You're like, good. Like, it's a measure of dying that's so much faster than things. Like, you die fast in this game. This is about as fast as God Hand is on Prime, where if you get hit by 2 attacks at the same time, you're dead. But then again, on this game, you can level up, and you probably get way more defense, like that guy on GameFAQs was mentioning when he said he could take 3 to 4 hits. Like, certain moves don't do enough damage, but the ones that do, there's no way you're surviving more than 2. Because there are hits on that game that literally do 98% damage. Like, mad damage. So this is a very damaging game, but this also has the ability to slow time when you evade, and an evade that is incredibly powerful. So imagine Devil May Cry if you had an evade button that slowed down time. The closest you can get to that is Quicksilver, which, uses Devil Trigger, so it's not the same. And then Trickster to evade. But even Trickster is nowhere near as good as, say, Bayonetta's dodge. Because in that game, when you dodge away with Trickster, you're putting yourself out of position to fight. In Bayonetta, the dodge is so, just completely organic to the gameplay that you dodge into the attack and then you combo, and it becomes almost the way to play that game on, hard and below. So, I don't know why I wasn't hitting him then. There are moments where you just that was a miss, obviously. That looked suspicious, but suffice to say, this guy's owning me at the moment, so we'll have to go and change that with our sword. There's a couple of kickbacks turn up and we start fighting them. But like God of War, I don't think God of War is the most challenging character-driven action game, but it has some situations that are absolutely horrendous that make it much more difficult. The Translator is a great example of this. A protection mission that will give you nightmares, because it truly is hellacious, for all the wrong reasons. Like, the game is hard enough without having to protect someone who dies that fast. And then, of course, you've got the famous Loom Chamber, which goes on forever. God of War 3, you've got the Scorpion fight that's terrible because of detection reasons. Like, that fight would probably be... no one would ever remember it if it worked better, but it doesn't. So there's so much frustration about hit detection, about getting comboed by the little fucking bitches that are at the ankle of the boss all the time and can attack you through with the geometry of the boss, which is always fun. This is Soundwave, by the way. This is the guy who's pretty tricky. Do you see how the platform is being raised by those little douchebags? I recommend killing the douchebags, but for some reason, I wanted to kill him without killing them, so I'm going to focus on this guy. And you can do that, and it is effective, but the dude who's lifting the floor, if he was a human being, I would hang him and watch the life leave his body and feel nothing, because I hate every single part of his fucking robot in disguise asshole. But, like the Cerberus breeders and things, the clone fight at the end of God of War 1, that is a horrible section. So is that the achievement for killing him without taking out the cassettes? Yeah, I think it is. Actually, that might have been just without taking damage. But that is Ferrotaxis, guys. That is Magnus Difficulty. Thank you for watching, and as always, you take care now. But as a final note, folks, what do you think, as objectively as you can, without your preferences and your own bias, the hardest character-driven action game is? Because I'm very curious to see what people think. Like, I think I would probably say God Hand, just because of how fast, even when you know how to play it, you can die. It kills you so fast, that game. But thank you very much for watching. You take care now.